Hey, welcome. Today, we are going to tackle one of the most important, most powerful cases in the entire Finnish language, the genitive, or as you'll hear it called, GENETIIVI. Seriously, getting this down is a massive level up for your Finnish. It's going to help you build much more complex, meaningful sentences. Okay, you ready? Let's get into it.
So just think for a second. How would you actually say something like, the dog's toy? Or how would you express that you've totally finished something, like, I finished the book? Well, believe it or not, the answer to both of those questions is the exact same case, GENETIIVI. And I promise, by the time we're done here, you'll know exactly how to use it. So here's our game plan. We're going to start with what it is, then cover when you need to use it. After that, we'll dive into all the different endings, because you know there are a few. We'll look at pronouns, both the official and spoken versions, and then we'll wrap it all up with a little test to see what stuck. It's a super clear path to mastering this thing. All right, first things first, what in the world are we even talking about? Let's just break down the absolute core idea of what GENETIIVI is and what its main job is in a sentence. Okay, so at its heart, the genitive is the of case. It's how you show possession, how you say something belongs to something else. And the biggest, most important clue, the thing you're going to see 99% of the time, is that little letter N stuck on the end of a word. That's your signal.
And you can see that basic pattern right here. It's pretty straightforward, right? You take a word like talo, which means house, you add an N, and boom, you get thalon, the houses or of the house. Same thing with koira becoming koiran for the dogs. This is the foundation for everything else we're going to learn.
Okay, so we get what it is, but the real question is, when do we actually use it? And this is where GENETIIVI gets really interesting, because it's not just for saying my dog's bone. It's like a Swiss Army knife for building all kinds of Finnish sentences.
So these are the four big ones. Number one, possession. That's the obvious one, right? Kaverin puhelin, the friend's phone. But the one that is a total game changer, especially when you're learning, is that second one, using it to show a completed action. This one's huge.
So, take a look at this sentence, luin kirjan. This means I read the book, but it implies something very specific. It means I read the whole thing. I finished it. The action is 100% done. And because that action is complete, the object, the book, kirja, gets that genitive ne.
Right, so this is the mental switch you have to make. If the action is finished, done, complete, then the object of that action gets the genitive ending. Now, this whole idea of completion is a really big deal in Finnish. If the action was, say, ongoing, like I was reading the book, you'd use a totally different case, the partitive. But for now, just burn this into your brain. Completed action means you use the genitive.
All right, we've covered the what and the when. Now it's time for the how. And yeah, just adding N works a lot of the time, but this is Finnish we're talking about. So of course, there are some fun word changes. Let's level up and get these endings down.
And here we go. This is our first big challenge. Words that end in the letter I. You see, they don't all follow the same rule. How they change actually depends on how old the word is in the Finnish language, which is, kind of cool when you think about it. The best way to remember this is to think of them in three groups. First, you've got the newcomers. These are modern loanwords like bunky or banani, and they're super easy. Then you have the old guard. These are classic Old Finnish words like nimi or ovi. And finally, you have the ancestors. These are really, really old words like vesi, where that final I actually used to be an E a long time ago. Each of these groups behaves differently. And here's how that all plays out. For the new words, the newcomers like hoteli, it's simple. You just add an N. That's it. For the old guard words like nimi, the I actually changes to N, giving you nimen. And for those ancient ancestor words like vesi, the I becomes den, so you get veden. The trick is just learning to spot which group a word belongs to.
Phew! Now for some rules that are way more predictable, which is nice. If a word ends in E, like huone, you just double that E and then add your N, so you get huonean. Easy. And then for words ending in nen, well, this is what I like to call the magic switch. The nen ending always becomes sen. Nainen becomes naisen. Ihminen becomes ihmisen. No exceptions. It's a lifesaver.
Okay, here's another really interesting one. For words that end in us or yas, you have to stop and ask yourself, is this an abstract idea or is it a concrete thing I can touch?
If it's an idea, like rakos, which is love, the ending changes to uden. But if it's a concrete thing, like rakenos, a building, the ending becomes ksen. It's a neat little distinction.
Okay, enough about things for a minute. Let's talk about people. Pronouns have their own unique genitive forms, and this is super important. You really have to know both the formal written version and the everyday spoken version if you want to sound natural. So check this out. On the left, you've got your basic pronouns. In the middle column is the proper formal genitive form, like minun for my or of me. But, and this is a big but, in the right column is what people actually say in normal conversation. You'll hear mun, son, sen all the time. Using these spoken forms is absolutely key to not sounding like a textbook. All right, that was a lot of theory. But the only way this stuff really sinks in is with practice. So let's do a quick mini test. I'll ask a question, give you a second to think, and then we'll go over the answer. And hey, remember that whole thing about completed actions versus ongoing ones? Might be a good idea to keep that in mind. Let's go.
Okay, first one. Blank koira haukku. And you need to put mina in the genitive form. What's it going to be? The answer is minun. Minun koira haukku. My dog is barking. Easy enough. Now for number 2. Asun blank kansa, using mun kaveri. The key word here is kansa, which means with. It's a postposition that always needs the genitive before it. So mun kaveri becomes mun kaverin. Asun mun kaverin kansa. I live with my friend.
Next up, question 3. 9 blank eilen using mun veli. So, I saw my brother yesterday. Is that a completed action? You bet it is, so we need the genitive. The answer is mun velien. Good. And for question 4, this is just a straightforward possession one. Tama on blank talo, using me. What does that become? Maiden. Tama on meidan talo. This is our house.
Question 5. Blank nimi on Ali, using sina. A simple one. The answer is sinun. Your name is Ali. Now, number 6. Watch out. This is a trick question. Luen blank yokapaiva, using lehti. I read the newspaper every day. Is that one single completed action? No, it's a habit. It's ongoing. And remember what we use for ongoing actions? Not the genitive. We use the partitive. So the correct answer is actually lehtia. Gotcha?
Okay, number 7. Kuntelin blank loppuun. That little phrase loppuun means to the end, and it's a huge clue that the action is complete. So, what's the genitive of albumi? It's albumin. I listened to the album to the end. Perfect. Now for number 8. Ostin blank kaupasta, using the word maito, milk. This is another one where we don't use genitive. Why? Because milk is uncountable. You didn't buy all the milk in the world. For uncountable things, you guessed it, we use the partitive. So the answer is maitoa.
We're almost done. Question 9. Dama on blank kuva, and the word is heidan. Is there any change you need to make? Nope, it's a trick. Heidan is already the genitive form of they. And for our final question, number 10, orotan blank nut, using sina. The verb orota, to wait, is one of those special Finnish verbs that just doesn't play well with the genitive. It always takes the partitive. So the correct answer is sinua. I am waiting for you now. A tricky one to finish on for sure.
And there you have it. That's our deep dive into the Finnish genitive case. The biggest thing to remember is to look for that N ending, and keep in mind its 2 main jobs, possession and showing a completed action. You can use this cheat sheet to remember those common word changes, especially that magic nen to sen switch. We also saw how it connects to the partitive case, which is a whole other adventure. So, what part of Finnish grammar should we break down next? Let me know.